Hanley also trying to bust out of a recent slump. High deep drive. Kiss that baby goodbye. Oh, my goodness. We check out the standings now in the American League East as the Red Sox and the Baltimore Orioles all locked up with identical records of 37 and 27. So the winner of tonight's rubber game is now one game up in the division. Hi, everybody. Dave O'Brien. Delighted to be joined by Jerry Remy. Gary Streisky joins us in just a moment. And, Jerry, as we wait for Hanley's home run to come down, we can talk about Eduardo Rodriguez and in need of a big outing tonight after two difficult ones.
Yeah, the best outing he's had so far, Dave, is the first one he pitched against these Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore. And we kind of said at that time there's still much more to come from Rodriguez. Well, that has been the case. He's actually slid backwards a little bit. And I think one of the reasons for that is lack of command. You see the numbers so far this season, the 1-1 record, that win we talked about against the Orioles, where I didn't think he had his best stuff that night, but he was able to win that ball game. And to see the Major League career numbers of 11-7. But the fact is that I think that in the last couple of outings, it's been lack of command and a lot of fastballs and changeups from Rodriguez. And I think one thing he's going to incorporate into his repertoire right now is also the breaking ball, the slider. I think that would be a huge advantage for him. Anytime a starting pitcher goes out there with only two pitches, you're pretty much going to get hit, more often than you're not. But if you throw that third pitch in, the slider, which he's got, he hasn't perfected it yet, but he's got it. You've got to show that every once in a while. And we'll see where his command is tonight. One thing for sure against this ball club, you've got to be on the corners with your fastball and changeup.
Can't make mistakes down the middle of the plate. He learned that against Toronto with all the firepower they have in this Baltimore Orioles lineup. Guys like Adam Jones and Manny Machado and others. Mark Trumbo's hit 20 home runs. The Red Sox counter with plenty of firepower themselves. It's Game 3 coming up. The Sox and the Orioles from Fenway. Website for deals. By Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. The 2017 Kia Sportage. Visit anykiadealers.com to learn more. By DraftKings, the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of your Boston Red Sox. By Subaru Retailers of New England. Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Back at Fenway in a beautiful night for a ball game. We bring in Gary Streisky. Gary, that home run was something last night from Hanley. It even impressed David Ortiz, didn't it?
It does. It's quite impossible, or very hard at least, to impress the large one himself because he's used to those tape measure shots. But OB, get a load of this. It probably seems surprising, but David Ortiz needs Hanley Ramirez just as much as Hanley Ramirez probably needs David Ortiz. And this is in Ortiz's words, not mine. He even admitted the fact that last season Hanley understood and felt the wrath of Red Sox Nation. In that conversation with Jerry Remy, said, listen, if you hustle, these fans will love you. And thankfully this season we see it, David sees it, and these fans see it.
We're family here, you know what I'm saying? And Hanley and me, we go way back, and you know, when I'm doing something wrong, he watched me. When he's doing something wrong, I watch him, you know. But when I see him what he do, I mean, when I watch him doing what we all know that he can do is just it's impressive, man. You know, Hanley had he got this really good build-up body, you know, and then when you see the ball just taking off like that, it's something like, feel like it's a monster, he said, you know what I'm saying?
You know, when Ortiz was describing that build, the muscles and the home run hitting power, you know, if you close your eyes and think about it, I think he was also trying to describe our guy, Jerry Remy, as well. The home run hitting muscular dudes, maybe not so much of the home runs. But listen, hopefully we see more of that from Hanley Ramirez tonight. A beautiful night in Boston, which means a beautiful night to win a series. Game 3 coming up.
He struck him out, and he sets down his 19th man in a row. To center field, dead away, turning around Jones, it's sailing, she's gone. High deep drive, kiss that baby goodbye. Oh my goodness. That one up the middle, diving play here, but right on to first, and he gets him. Sensational stab from the other side of the bag to dive and make that play. Line drive right field, Betts on the move. Oh, he hauls it in. And a high five for a fan.
That is a fantastic play by Mookie Betts. Able to cover the ground with his speed and athleticism.
And more to come tonight in Game 3. So far, very entertaining series between the Red Sox and the Baltimore Orioles in a split of the first 2 games. And still to come, the Seattle Mariners in for the weekend and Chicago White Sox. Here's the Oriole lineup. It's brought to you by New England Chevy dealers. Adam Jones, Joey Rickard, and Manny Machado go 1, 2, 3. Trumbo the DH, Davis at first. Matt Wieters does the catching. Jonathan Schoop at second. Nolan Reimold at left. And Paul Janisch at third base. Batting ninth, Red Sox starting pitcher presented by New England Audi dealers. Eduardo Rodriguez 1-1, a 6.06 earned run average, and how far the Red Sox go in 2016 may depend on his improvement.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. They are 5th in the American League, 32 errors in 64 games. Travis Shaw will be at third base, and Bogart's the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second, Hanley Ramirez the first baseman. Left field to right field, Rusney Castillo, Jackie Bradley Jr., Mookie Betts, and Sandy Leon gets the start behind the plate catching Rodriguez.
Here tonight's umpires, they're brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. Mike Muchlinski has the balls and strikes. Mike Winters at first, Marty Foster at second, Mark Wegner at third base. And we're available. This telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota Certified used vehicle right now.
Buenas noches, amigos.
Absolutely loving the weather. Spectacular again. Clear skies, 78 degrees, just a bit of a breeze, absolutely perfect. And set for the first pitch from the left-hander. And after a pretty decent first start for Erod on May 31 against these Orioles, he has stumbled. A loss to Toronto, in which he gave up 4 home runs, and a highly disappointing effort at Minnesota after the Red Sox had handed him a lead and he gave it back against one of the weaker offenses in the American League. So this is an important start for him tonight.
Well, there's a couple of hurdles he has to overcome. First of all, knowing that he's healthy. That's important for Rodriguez. The other thing is his command.
First pitch fouled away by Adam Jones, and we're underway.
One thing that Rodriguez has to be tonight against this Oriole ball club, which can hit home runs, is on the corners with his fastball and changeup, and mix in an occasional slider just to show him you got a third pitch.
Well, this guy Jones got him back in the game last night with a 7th inning home run, a 2-run shot. That's popped up, and there's Dustin Pedroia to put it away. Best thing in the world for Erod would be a 1-2-3, a very brisk first inning.
Get that good feeling going immediately in the ball game.
Rickard will be next. Baltimore leading the season series 5-4. After tonight, still 9 games left with the Red Sox, although they will not meet again until the 16th of August at Camden Yards. So that's 2 months away, and then 6 times in September. Rickard, a rookie, hitting .253 with 5 homers, and he takes a ball. Mentioned the Mariners of Seattle are coming in next. They've already won today. They knocked off Tampa Bay in Florida 6-4. That's a called strike. Time for a twisted but true fact. The Red Sox 16-17 against the AL East, 21-10 against everybody else. Twisted tea, the hard iced tea that tastes like real iced tea, be a little twisted. 2-1.
That's a good pitch right there by Rodriguez. That's where he'd like to be. That fastball down and right around that outside corner. Just missed the outside corner, but a good pitch. Make contact on that. You're not going to do very much with it.
The 6'2 left-hander's next one is lined into right for a base hit. So Rickard does a nice job going the other way, and he's aboard in front of Manny Machado.
Hey, talk about location. You know, the pitch before was very good. It was down and away, outside part of the plate. Then it comes in about 4 or 5 inches, gets the middle of the plate, and Rickard with the inside-out swing takes it to the opposite field. Very good head discipline by Rickard. Watch that contact, head on the baseball, and picks up the base hit to the opposite field.
Machado to climb it in .302 with 17 homers and 41 runs batted in. And if you're going to beat the Orioles, a good place to start is keeping him quiet. He was 0 for 4 last night in the Sox win. One man out and 1 man on for Buck Showalter's team. Mark Trumbo on deck, their big DH. The 1-strike pitch fouled back. He is very aggressive with that bat.
Yeah, first pitch was a changeup, a very good one by Rodriguez, down and away from Machado, followed up with a fastball inside and jammed him a little bit.
Erod, 23 years old.
Looks like a throw to first.
Machado also 23 years old. He'll be 24 on the 6th of July. One of the rising stars in baseball. He's already a star, on the verge of being a superstar. And the southpaw with an 0-2 pitch. Into right field, another base hit. Rickard up and into second. He'll stop there. So back-to-back singles.
That's 2 very nice approaches by Rickard and now Machado, both going to the opposite field on the line. This one hit harder than Rickard's. Machado with that line shot to the opposite field for the base hit. He gets the fastball middle of the plate. He goes inside out. And again, very good head discipline. Most of the time, when you see the ball go to the opposite field, you're going to see very good head discipline. Head right on contact.
So trouble brewing for Rodriguez. It brings up Trumbo hitting .289 with 20 homers and 49 runs batted in. He's 3 for 8 in the series as he takes ball 1. No homers, no RBIs in the series. He has not homered in about a week. He was the first man in the majors to get to 20. And he'll ask for time and get it from Muchlinski.
Again, the man at second base, and because of that, the multiple signs given by Vasquez behind the plate. If you just put down one, it's very easy for that second runner on second to pick up the signs. Excuse me, Leon catching tonight.
1-0 and a high fly into right field, backing up Betts, and he is there to make the play. Rickard will tag, and he'll advance into third base on the second out. So 2 away, and Chris Davis will be next as Erod tries to get out of this first inning.
Well, we certainly see an opposite field approach, aren't we, by the Oriole hitters here in the first inning against Rodriguez. Once again, a look at that last pitch by Rodriguez. It's a fastball again, almost in the same spot, middle of the plate in, but that opposite field swing by Trumbo. So we've seen 3 in a row go the other way.
And now Davis, 226, 16 home runs for the big first baseman. And he'll take a strike. He's just 1 for 11 against Rodriguez with 5 strikeouts. So the lefty's had his number. But if you make a mistake on this one, he can hit it a mile. Here comes the 0-1. Now 0-2 and back to a changeup.
Yeah, it's about 3 changeups he's thrown here in the first inning, and a good one right there. Out of the strike zone, never really a strike to Davis, so apparently he didn't pick up the ball very well out of the hand of Rodriguez. Left-handed hitters are not accustomed to seeing changeups from left-handed pitchers.
Trying to put him away now. The 0-2 just inside.
The old theory on that, Dave, was, you know, a changeup basically stays inside to lefties, down and in, and that's usually their sweet spot. And that's one of the reasons you don't see a lot of lefties throw left-hand changeups to left-handed hitters. But I don't believe in that.
Rodriguez doesn't either. The 1-2 up and away. Fastball there, 94-95, so his velocity is good right away. Oh, they hit a lot of home runs, more than anybody in the American League. Runners at first and third. Rodriguez trying to escape in the first. His 2-2. And inside. Not by much. 3-2.
Tried to go up and in against Davis here with the fastball. And a little bit too far inside. Rodriguez wanted it.
Wieters on deck. Rickard at third, Machado at first. And trickled foul. Just nudged that one on an off-speed pitch. Machado, the runner at first, will be off to the races on the pitch.
Back to the changeup for Rodriguez.
And the 3-2. And he got him. 86 miles an hour to catch him looking, and he gets out of it. And the Red Sox are coming up. Betts, Pedroia, Bogaerts. Website for deals. It'll be Mookie Betts to start it. Then Dustin Pedroia and Xander Bogaerts, David Ortiz and Hanley Ramirez, Jackie Bradley in center field. Rusney Castillo gets his first start. He's in left. Travis Shaw at third. Sandy Leon does the catching, batting ninth against Tyler Wilson, a right-hander. 2-5, 4.73 the ERA. He faced the Sox on Memorial Day, and he had the misfortune of running into Stephen Wright, who beat him with a complete game, and that's in there for strike one.
The second time that Wilson has faced the Red Sox this season, once in relief, once in a start.
He did pitch pretty well on Memorial Day. 6 1/3, 3 runs, 8 hits. That one stung but foul. As Mookie turned on it, he has hit safely in 7 in a row. And just eating up the Orioles. 450 against Baltimore this season, and 6 home runs. Now the Orioles like the fact that Wilson can get 3 pitches over for strikes: fastball, slider, and a changeup. And the 0-2 will miss. These cold hard facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. The Red Sox outfield leads the majors with a .516 slugging percentage and an .870 OPS. They also lead the majors in triples, RBIs, and runs scored. Line drive into left, sinking, coming on. Nice sliding play by Reimold. Outstanding play for out number 1.
Now that line shot just wouldn't sink for Mookie Betts. I mean, that ball was a bullet. And a very nice play by Nolan Reimold out there in left field as he goes into the slide. Let's look at the Oriole defense, and it's brought to you by DraftKings. Giannis will be at third base, Machado the shortstop, Scope at second, Davis at first. Left to right, Reimold, who just made that play, Adam Jones and Joey Rickett, and Matt Wieters doing the catching for Wilson.
1 man out. Seen a lot of good defense in this series. Plenty of that by the man at the plate, Dustin Pedroia, hitting .317, 7 homers, 27 driven in. His excellent season continued last night with 2 hits, a walk, a couple of splendid defensive plays. 1-1.
Big slow breaking ball that time, and Pedroia kind of fooled him. Don't see Pedroia fooled that often on off-speed pitches like that, slow breaking balls.
Pedroia's hit safely in 17 in a row against Baltimore. High top foul. Bogaerts up next.
It's the pitch that ran the count to 1-1, and it took a little bit off the slider that time. And you see how far out in the front foot that Pedroia was. The balance way off on that swing. But that's what that kind of pitch will do to you.
And a 1-2 from Tyler Wilson. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Time to see who's been driving the ball, presented by Toyo Tires. Dustin Pedroia, last 20 games, .365 with 10 doubles. Toyo Tires, the official tire of the Boston Red Sox. Scoreless here in the bottom half of the first inning. And Wilson's 2-2. He fouls that one away.
Well, it's been a steady diet of off-speed stuff. That slow breaking ball to Pedroia, and that time just checking his swing to get a piece of it and foul it off. Once again, it's the curveball. And you can see just getting a piece of the end of the bat. Go back to the fastball away.
3-2. Sox had 13 hits last night. Kind of amazing to think it's the 39th time out of 64 games that the Red Sox have knocked out at least 10 hits. 61% of the games they've had at least 10 hits. And the 3-2. High pop, and Scope backing into the outfield. Called off by Adam Jones, and he'll make the play. He had a long way to come in. 2 down for Bogaerts. Fans, don't forget to download the Sox season schedule into your favorite calendar program before you leave for summer vacation. Visit NESN.com/schedule to download today. So 2 away for Xander Bogaerts. Will step in hitting .357 to lead the league with 8 homers and 45 RBIs. He is 3 for 4 off Wilson. Wilson likes his curveball early. Very good athlete, more of a back of the rotation kind of pitcher for the Orioles. And it is quickly 0-2. Xander last night with yet another multi-hit game. He was 2 for 4 with a walk. Look at that pace. 243 hits he's on pace for. Fly toward right, and Rickard will be right there to put that away. And the Red Sox go 1-2-3. We've played an inning. No score at Fenway. And highest home winning percentage in the majors. The Cubs are out in front at home at 22-8. Red Sox number 6 at 20-13 here at Fenway. In the midst of a long home stand, Wieters batting right-handed will take a strike as we're underway in the second. No score. And along with Seattle coming in, Red Sox will face the Chicago White Sox for a 4-game series here. 0-1 right through it.
Yeah, there's the slider we're talking about, Dave. And, you know, we don't see many of those from Rodriguez, but it's good to see. It shows them a third pitch. Because basically when you face Rodriguez, you're thinking fastball changeup. If he can mix that slider in on occasion, that's got to help him.
Doesn't even have to be a great one. Just another wrinkle. 0-2 to Wieters, and foul tipped into the mitt and held by Leon for the strikeout. So his second of the ball game.
And after the slider, he elevates the fastball, goes up to Matt Wieters and picks up the strikeout.
Lexus is making a pledge to strike out hunger, and for every K by a Red Sox pitcher, Lexus will donate $50 to the Greater Boston Food Bank. Here's Scope hitting .268 with 10 home runs, including one in this series. He has a 6-game hitting streak. He'll be followed by Nolan Reimold here in the 2nd inning.
David's into that press guide, and you know what happens? Sometimes you're sitting in a dugout and you got a question about a guy and say, "What about this?" You know, say, "How do we find out?" Say, "Man, get me a press guide." And all of a sudden, you know, he's probably got somebody in mind, and he's reading their bio.
There's a rocket pulled down the line, but it's going to be a foul ball. Hard up into the monster, but foul. Scope really got around a little too much.
That ball hooking and just barely going into foul territory down that left field line. That ball hit the wall very hard. It was a rocket by Scope, who's on a 6-game hitting streak. The number on his back, and actually his front.
Another Oriole with power.
It's like another slider.
A 1-1 makes him dance a bit. Scope comes from Curacao. Like Xander Bogaerts' Aruba, and that's part of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and they were teammates on the Netherlands team that won the 2011 Baseball World Cup gold medal.
The ABC Islands.
You spent some time there in Aruba.
Aruba.
Scope actually drove in the game-winning run in the final against Cuba. So they celebrated their gold medal victory together. The 3-1 now from Rodriguez. Right through it.
That was challenge time right there from Rodriguez. 3 balls, 1 strike. Just came after him with the fastball. Got the swing and miss. Elevated a little bit above the belt and just under the letters.
He's looking for his 3rd consecutive strikeout going back to the 1st inning. The 3-2. And he gets it. And he went up there again at 95.
Yeah, velocity is very good for Rodriguez early in the ball game, and he's been getting guys to chase the high fastball. He got Wieters, and now he gets Scope as he really elevates that time just about over the letters on the uniform, about shoulder high. And that's a pitch that Scope does have a tough time staying off of when he's behind in the count.
3 Ks for Erod, and now here's Nolan Reimold with a little excuse me swing to Pedroia, and down he goes. Fast inning for the left-hander. He gets a 1-2-3. David's going to have to get out of that reading. No score in the 2nd. Most extra base hits in the majors this season. Big Papi at the very top with 45 in front of Manny Machado of these Orioles. No score to the bottom of the second inning. David was doing all that reading in between innings. And press guide, we will find out what he has learned as he goes to work against Tyler Wilson on the first pitch in there for a strike.
You know, I was thinking about it. I was looking at the press guide, and he was kind of like in the early stages of it. So I'm guessing, just a guess, he was looking at Chris Davis. Power hitters look at power hitters.
0-1 into the shift. And David will be 0 for 1 tonight. As Scope gets him. On June 29th, you can enjoy a screening of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's movie night at Fenway, presented by Mitsubishi Electric. Tickets just $10 for adults, $5 for children, 12 and under. To get your tickets and for more information, visit redsox.com/movie night or call 877 Red Sox 9. One man out, and now Hanley to get in after that monster home run last night. And it's a high chop foul.
Well, last night Hanley Ramirez got a breaking ball that stayed inside, and it didn't take very long at all for that ball to get way out of Fenway Park. And then Hanley showing off his biceps.
Left the ballpark entirely, so he never got a tail of the tape.
The guy's still walking it up.
It's on the Mass Pike. Only home runs that land inside the ballpark are actually measured. That's why we didn't get a tail of the tape on it. But you and I thought 450, 460.
Actually, I drove by it last night on the Pike going home. It was paying a toll at Alston, Cambridge.
A shot. Driven toward the triangle, racing back. It'll be Jones. He'll make the catch very leisurely for the second out. I asked Hanley before tonight's game, what does it feel like to hit one that sweet and that long? And he said it feels like nothing. You actually don't feel it. At least he didn't. He showed me the mark on his bat, little tiny mark there where he made that contact. But he said no feeling at all.
Yeah, I can't relate to that, obviously, but from a position player's point of view, when you hear contact like that, it sounds much different than anything else.
It's Jackie Bradley, who homered off of Wilson in Baltimore. Xander Bogaerts got him for a couple of doubles. Nothing in the second. Jackie hitting .309 with 11 homers. He's driven in 44. JBJ 2 for 8 with a home run in this series. Rusney Castillo, who's in the lineup tonight in left field, is on deck, his first start. Chris Young tweaked a quad while racing around the bases in last night's victory. He's day to day, but that's the reason that Rusney came in for him defensively last night at the end of the ball game, and the reason Rusney is starting in this one. Routine ground ball to Scope. And that is 6 up and 6 down for the Red Sox to start the night. Here in Game 3, it's 0-0. fewest hits allowed by team. The Red Sox are tops at 510, then Tampa Bay and the Cleveland Indians. Indians with a very good pitching staff. Once again, Terry Francona has them playing quite well. Giannis will lead things off here, the number 9 hitter.
Yeah, you know, Dave, you mentioned the fact that the Red Sox giving up the fewest hits. One of the problems that the staff has had is they've walked more than any team in the American League.
1 ball and 1 strike. John Farrell made a special point of mentioning that before tonight's game when talking about Rodriguez. That's what he has to stay away from above all things. Ball 4. That's what's really hurt him. He's not alone. 2-1. Hasn't walked anybody in the first 2 innings. Giannis taking over 3rd tonight. Just a 167 hitter. He's always been a good glove man. 2-1 pitch. And that'll miss. Rodriguez in his career at Fenway is 6-3 in the ERA of 4.24. The 3-1. A strike at 94 miles an hour. Adam Jones on deck. And the 3-2 from the left-hander. And he walked him. So that's how the inning gets underway. Sox fans looking for the best seats to the biggest games. Check out the official Red Sox ticket resale marketplace at RedSoxReplay.com. Best place for season ticket holders to sell their tickets when they can't make it to the game.
Now that's one of the things that can really hurt a pitcher. When you walk the number 9 guy in a lineup, now Giannis hasn't had many at bats, but he's a 167 hitter. You end up giving him a free pass to first base.
And right in front of a guy who can make it 2-0. Jones 0 for 1. He's popped up to second. And he looks at ball 1.
That's a good pitch right there for Rodriguez. He's got to have that. That looked like a slider again. That was at the bottom of the strike zone.
The 1-0 to Jones. And a high fly ball deep to left, way back, and she is gone. And indeed it is 2-0 the Orioles. Jones with his 13th home run of the season. Nothing good ever comes from a leadoff walk, does it?
No, you're exactly right, David. And the other thing too is that the Orioles know that over 70% of the time Rodriguez is going to throw a fastball. So when he falls behind in the count, 1 ball, no strikes, they pretty much know he's coming with number 1. And even that ball's a little bit high, just above the belt. Jones is looking fastball, ready for fastball, and takes fastball out of the ballpark.
His 2nd home run in as many nights, and that one is flicked foul by Rickard, who singled in the 1st inning. He hit a 2-run homer in the 7th inning last night. So the Orioles out in front 2-0. Hammered foul. Rickard, another very aggressive swinger. He has a 4-game hitting streak. And he has some power too. He had his first leadoff home run on May 20th against the Angels. Batting 2nd here tonight. Oh, 2 is a looping liner to left field. That's going to drop down and go all the way up against the wall. Rickard heading in for second base, and he is there standing up with a double. So he's 2 for 2.
And he got a changeup that time on a 0-2 count. Farrell not very happy, telling Carl Willis to go out and have a little chat with Rodriguez. There's the changeup grip, 0-2. You can see he's about on his front foot, but he's able to keep the hands back and drive that ball to left field for the double. So the walk, the home run, the double, and Rodriguez in trouble here in the 3rd.
And about to square off against another guy who can do a ton of damage in Manny Machado. Already has a single tonight. And you know he's going to be up there swinging for the fences. You're exactly right about walking the number 9 man. It speaks to lack of focus. Machado has 17 home runs and 41 runs batted in. Came into the series leading the American League in a number of categories, or in the top 5. Swings immediately and he pops it a mile in the air to left. Out goes Bogarts. Coming on Castillo, and he'll make the catch. That's the first out in the inning. Machado going after the first one. DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing on DraftKings right now. Play free daily using the promo code NESSON at DraftKings.com. Trumbo 0 for 1. He's flat out to right. Orioles got him from the Seattle Mariners in a trade in December. He's really paid off big time for them as he looks at a strike. Having an excellent year, maybe an all-star year. He's their DH tonight. Runner at second base, 1 away, 2 runs in on the home run by Adam Jones. And the 0-1. Foul tipped.
And they watch that lead at second base taken by Rickett. And you know, when you 1 out and you're trying possibly to steal third, you take a lead that is even with the bag, even between second and third base. You want the most direct line to third base. If it goes to 2 outs, then you'll see the runner back up a little bit, about 3 or 4 steps, because he wants to make a good cut around third base on a base hit. But you'll see Rickett step in. He'll be about even with the bag. Pedroia holding him on.
0-2. Pop foul back out of play.
That's basically your 1 out, no out, 1 out lead at second base. It changes with 2 outs.
Rodriguez coming off a short outing in Minnesota, just 4 2/3, gave up 4 runs. He walked 4 men. He allowed 6 hits. 1 out, a runner at second here. 1-2. Trumbo has not homered in a little over a week. He did belt 5 home runs in his first 10 games with the club. First Oriole ever to do that. He made an impression right away. 2-2. He just saw the changeup.
So what do you look for? The fastball, right? Unless he's going to double up.
Two. Swung on and missed. Well, he did. A changeup away, and he got him.
Well off the outside part of the plate, as you'll see, the changeup breaking outside. It's going to be a ball, but the swing by Trumbo, and not even close to making contact. And he knows it right away. He knows he swung at a bad pitch. Now we'll see if Rickett changes that lead at second base with 2 outs. The Red Sox go into a shift. You'll step back a little bit to try, so you can get a path to third base where you can cut the bag a little bit easier.
Outside on Davis, who struck out looking in the first inning. A Silver Slugger winner from last year when he hit 47 home runs.
Hey, you see that lead at second base where he's behind the bag now.
The 1-0. He checked and it's inside. Davis 1 for 12 against Rodriguez with 6 Ks. Red Sox stacking a shift on the right side and the 2-0.
Now, right now, Davis having a tough time with the changeup from Rodriguez. I mean, 2 balls, no strikes, and he's expecting a fastball, does not get it. Bogart's on the right side of the infield, the big shift on.
Rickard aboard at second with 2 down and the 2-1. He's gone to 3-1 and a guy who will take a walk.
Let's see if he follows the same pattern on the 2-0 count. He threw the changeup. Let's see if he does the same on the 3-1 count. Davis has shown problems so far being able to adjust to the changeup.
The 3-1 home. Fouled away. He's thrown a lot of pitches here in the early going. He's up over 50 now with 2 down in the 3rd. And this will be his 24th pitch of this inning. So not a promising start for the lefty. He'll try to put away Davis on strikes for the 2nd time. Here comes the 3-2. Little ground ball to Pedroia in that shift, and that will retire the side. But Adam Jones gets him. A no-doubter for a 2-run shot, 2-0 Baltimore. $1 million giveaway with 3 ways to play. You could drive away with a Ford Escape, $5,000 in cash, or our grand prize, $100,000. Get your game ticket at Irving Oil today. Rusney Castillo leading off the 3rd inning. Red Sox trail 2-0 here to the Orioles. He's soon to be 29-year-old from Cuba, getting his first start. He is 2 for 5 this season with a double. He flies that one to right center field. On the move, Jones. And shy of the track will put that away. The first 7 Red Sox have been retired by Tyler Wilson. Ace Ticket, Boston's trusted source for Red Sox tickets with the best seats at the lowest prices. All with a 200% guarantee. Treat yourself for someone special by visiting aceticket.com or call 1-800-MY-SEATS. Travis Shaw now checking in at 269 with 7 homers, 37 runs batted in. And that slicing double to left for an RBI last night.
Gary Streisky did a nice story last night on Shaw making an adjustment in his load before he swings. And I found out today what that adjustment is. It's raising his hands a little bit higher towards his head. He got into a habit of kind of dipping, his hands down low. And now he's got him back up around his ear level where he had him in spring training. And what does that do? Well, it makes him stay on the ball better. He drives through the ball, keeps his head down a little bit better.
And he rips that line drive toward the alley. On the move, Rickard. He'll make the play, but that was well struck. Travis couldn't believe that didn't fall in, and they're 2 down.
Yeah, it's the pinch outfield. Remember we talk about the pinch outfield that the Orioles play, and that's why Shaw is surprised. I mean, when you hit a ball that hard in that area, you expect it to be a double. But instead, because they're pinching out there, the right fielder, Rickard, is able to track that ball down. Then you see the outfield to see the right fielder where he's playing, almost near the Red Sox bullpen. So there's no gap. Ball leaves the bat, you think you got a double. Next thing you know, it's in the glove.
Sandy Leon now doing the catching tonight.
Getting back to those hands, it's funny how, you start off at one spot and then they kind of dip, as the season goes on. You don't even realize it. And so they got to work on looking at some video from back in spring training when Shaw was just attacking the baseball. And they did notice that there was a slight difference in the location of his hands. They were much lower. Chile picked that up. So he got him back up higher last night and actually had better results. And that ball was stung.
1-1 to Leon. Will miss. Sandy was 4 for 4 on Saturday in Minnesota. He drove in 2 runs. Became the first player in Red Sox history to get a hit in each of his first 5 plate appearances to start a season. He's got a batting average up there on the big board. You just want to step out and take a photo of. 833.
Take a picture of that.
Base is empty and 2 down. Red Sox trailing 2-0 on the Adam Jones homer. And that's going to be fair down the line. That bounces back off the sidewall. He thinks about it as Rickard gets to it. He's going to be content with the first hit of the ball game for the Red Sox. So Sandy keeps on swinging it.
Yeah, that average, the 833 is going to go up if that's possible. Gets a cut fastball inside. It was supposed to be away. It stays inside, and he hooks it right down that first base line. He made the wise choice of staying at first base here with 2 outs. Now with 2 outs, runners always trying to get in the scoring position, but there are some times that it's just not a smart move to do. And Leon realizes that right about there.
Fellow catcher give him a hand there, so it'll be Mookie Betts to swing away. He lined out to the left fielder his first at bat, hitting .290, making a run at .300, which has been rather elusive for Mookie. But he has hit safely in 7 straight. Betts leading the majors in runs scored. This series began with 5 of the top 10 run scorers in the American League on the field between the Sox and Baltimore. Wilson's 1-0. That sneaks in there for a strike at 90.
Not overpowering with the fastball, but spotting it very well. 90-91.
The 1 through 4 hitters in the Sox order combined for 8 hits last night. And really, they have been murder, those 4 guys against Baltimore all season long, including Mookie Betts and Dustin Pedroia, Xander Bogaerts, and David Ortiz. All very, very good numbers against the Birds. But the Red Sox just got their first hit of the ball game by the number 9 hitter, Sandy Leon. He's on at first with 2 down. Wilson's 2-1. And that'll miss for a ball, but barely. And now 3-1 on Mookie.
Throws a fastball middle into Betts in this situation. 3 balls, 1 strike. It could be a 2-2 game in a hurry. See what Wheatus calls for. Wants the fastball, but he wants it away. Outside part of the plate.
3-1 home. And he pulled it foul.
That's exactly where Wilson got it. Nice play, Bill Titus. Much Tito. Wow, had to play the elements too. Kirby went right under his hand, and Titus able to make the play.
Kirby gave some props there.
Oh, wait a minute. We got Joe Stafford said it bounced off his leg. So we've got some controversy on that call.
That'll have to go to review. Runner goes, and it's bounced up there for ball 4. So Mookie's on. Leon down to second. And the Red Sox trying to start something here with 2 down with Dustin Pedroia coming up.
We've gone to replay now on this foul ball, and let's take another look. Oh, it is off the leg.
Yeah, but he made the play.
Off the leg, off the boiler, and into the hand.
Billy is regretting making that play right now. Like he's like, why did I even try? Runners at first and second. And Baltimore with a 2-0 lead at the moment. Pedroia 0 for 1. He's popped to center. And fouls it back for a strike. Dustin, a very key man in the Red Sox World Series run, of course, in 2013. Hit .301, 91 runs, 84 RBIs, 193 hits. He's on pace to best many of those numbers here in 2016. Not going to come through with 2 down in the third. 2-0 Orioles. 1-1. Bogart's on deck. Leon is second and Betts at first. Tyler Wilson with a 1-1. Foul tipped on a massive cut there by Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah, it's almost like Pedroia was looking for that breaking ball that time. He saw a bunch of them in his first at bat. Has a very good swing at this one that stays inside. That ball's supposed to be away. It stayed inside, but no contact by Pedroia on the big swing. So now behind, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
With a hit here, you'd have an 18-game hitting streak against the Orioles. 2-2. Red Sox have their first 2 base runners of the night against the right-hander, who is out of Lynchburg, Virginia, and a product of the University of Virginia. And now Wilson will stand off the rubber. Pedroia top 10 in the American League in batting average, hits, doubles, and runs scored. Looking to add right here. The 2-2 inside to run it full.
Now everybody be off at first and second base. Anything in the gap, especially with Betts' speed, has the ability to score 2 runs. The problem is in the outfield, because of the defense, there is no gap.
Crowd wants something to happen on this swing. 3-2. Leon and Betts take off, and it's fouled away. Just got a piece of it on a slider.
Yeah, good job by Pedroia there, because that was a very good breaking ball. Something you had to swing at, but it was a good pitch. And Pedroia able to give himself another swing by fouling it off. I mean, that's a strikeout pitch right there.
Orioles ahead 2-0 third inning. Wilson from the stretch. And the 3-2 again. Popped him up. Off first base, Davis ranging over toward the Red Sox dugout, and there to make the play and retire the side. So the Red Sox are going to strand a couple. Billy T with a fantastic play, and what a gentleman. Poll question tonight: will there ever be a Major League Baseball team based in Las Vegas? So place your bets on this one. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Text your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply. 1 message per vote. Wieters fouls that one away.
Now, from a meal money, per diem point of view, I hope not. But we'll have to wait and see. But Vegas has become very popular for sports, obviously.
Well, according to multiple reports, the NHL is prepared to create an expansion franchise in Vegas for the 2017-18 season. So it's headed that way.
Imagine a base pass. I mean, first base you play craps, second base you can play blackjack, third base I don't know what else you play, roulette. Be great.
Well, you're right about the meal money. It's a big problem. Wieters checks and it's inside. It's going to be tripled for that trip.
I remember going to Reno in the minor leagues, A-ball. I think we were making about $5 a day meal money. It didn't last too long at the tables.
Not too long. Scope on deck. Wieters 261, 6 homers coming into the ball game. He's had a quiet series and a chilly road trip. He is 2 for 19 on the road trip for Baltimore that started with 4 games in Toronto. 2-2. Now Rodriguez looking for a bounce back inning. He walked the leadoff man in the third. then allowed a 2-run homer to Adam Jones, and then a double to Rickard before getting the next 3 in order. Into the 4th inning here in Game 3. The winner takes over first place by a game in the division. Here's the 2-2. And outside, and another 3-ball count.
Well, when they've had 2 strikes, they've tried to elevate on Wieters. We'll see what they do 3-2. I mean, you can't really aim to do that because if he stays off it, it's ball 4. Fastball, middle in.
Here's the 3-2 pitch. Popped up. Third base side. Shaw charging. Leon coming over. And it's over the netting. Tonight's suits are designed by Joseph Aboud, custom made in the USA of fine Italian fabrics, and available at Men's Warehouse. You're going out without the jacket here tonight?
No jacket tonight. Beautiful night at the ballpark and just enjoying the good weather. The Aboud shirt, tie, the whole thing going on, you know.
Still like it. Go with the gray tonight. I selected the blue pinstripe tonight. 3-2 coming. He checked. Did he offer? He did not, and it is outside, ball 4. So that's how the 4th inning gets underway for Rodriguez. His second walk. That did not pay off in the 3rd inning when he walked Giannis, and he would later score. And here's Scope, who whiffed in the 2nd inning. He is 1 for 6 against Rodriguez. The lefty from Venezuela, the swing at a hard ground ball picked up by Bogarts to Pedroia, dropped, got the out throw on to first, not in time, so no double play. They do get the man in the middle at Wieters.
Boy, that is odd to see. Dustin dropping a flip from the shortstop at second base, and you know, it's not like he was going to get taken out or anything because the ball was hit very hard. There's the flip, and the ball just never really got in the pocket of the glove of Pedroia. He still tries to get the double play, but it's too late. I wonder if he took his eye off the ball for just a second. That's why he dropped it. You don't usually see that happen at all.
And the Sox get an out, so you cannot charge an error. But it would have been a double play. And sends up Reimold, to ground it out to second his first time up. 1 man gone as Scope becomes the runner. And that's a strike. Seattle in for 3 games beginning on Friday night at 7:10. Elias against Iwakuma in game 1. Rick Porcello against Wade Miley in game 2. You remember Miley with the Red Sox, the left-hander, and then on Sunday, David Price will take on the right-hander Walker. So Porcello to go on Saturday. Start time 7:10, 4:05, and 1:35 for the series. And the 1-1. So the Red Sox will not face the King over the weekend.
Yeah, Hernandez going to be out for a long time. The calf problem. Which certainly hurts the chances of the Seattle Mariners. Mariners in 2nd place in the West. Come in with a very good team.
Trying to chase down Texas. Rangers have been good for a while. Here comes the 1-2 pitch now from the lefty. Swung on and missed. That is strike 3. And there are 2 down as the throw went down to first base, but not nearly in time to get Scope.
Yeah, it's almost like a pitch out for Sandy Leon. You know, he gets the high fastball, gets the swing and miss from Reimold, and anytime they get that kind of situation, they like to throw to first base because they're in a very good position to do so. See Leon now, watch the high fastball, the swing and miss, and the ball is actually toward first base, so he's able to make that throw, attempt the pickoff play at first.
Well, Rodriguez has struck out 5. And that one lined toward the alley in right center field, dropping down. He'll fall in for a base hit. Scope is safely into third base on a single by Giannis. And they are on the corners here for the Orioles in front of the dangerous Adam Jones.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to Giannis. You know, he's had 2 at-bats sitting out of the 9 spot. Not many on the season. A walk and now the base hit. And very easily going first to third is Jonathan Scope. And that gets Adam Jones back at the plate with 2 outs.
Jones in this one with a pop up to second. He's also belted a 2-run homer to left. He grew up in San Diego, idolizing the late Tony Gwynn. And when Tony was the coach at San Diego State, Jones signed a letter of intent to play for him. But he became a first-round draft pick for the Seattle Mariners, and he would sign to play baseball professionally. Nice block there by Leon. No advance by the runners.
A slider that time from Rodriguez, and a very good job by Leon to block that ball, keep the man at third base, did not try to catch it, just somehow knock it down. Actually, that looked like more like a changeup grip than a slider.
Here's the 1-0 pitch from the 23-year-old. He falls behind again. It's been that kind of night. Two to nothing Baltimore. They're looking for more. Last 2 innings have really been a struggle, and in the first inning he allowed back-to-back singles before he got out of that. He misses again.
Adam Jones may have the green light here. 3 balls and no strikes. So many fastballs that Rodriguez throws. He just might see green.
6 times now he has pitched to a 3-ball count already. 3-0, yes indeed. He rips it to left field. That's going to go all the way to the fence. That'll bring in Scope. Giannis into third base. He'll put on the brakes there, and sliding in with a double is Jones, and boy, that felt predictable. The swing and the pitch.
It's a no-brainer. I mean, you know, you've got the right-hander Adam Jones at the plate, who already has a 2-run home run. You've got a fastball pitcher in a 3-0 count. Why not give him the green light? I mean, one swing of the bat, he's got a chance to put 3 runs on the board. Instead, he'll put 1 with the 2-base hit. So Adam Jones having a big night. 2 for 3, 3 RBIs so far, and you see John Farrell's reaction. Throwing the seeds.
Rodriguez was lucky that didn't really wind up on Lansdowne, because that was center cut. And now 3-0. And we'll bring up Rickard, who has singled and doubled, and the Sox bullpen starting to move around. So once again, a struggle for the lefty. And Barnes is going to start to throw. Rickard 2 for 2 as runners at second and third. 3-0 Orioles. They about hit the Red Sox 6-1. And that'll be high for ball 1.
That's kind of a small thing. I call it small, but the runner at third base, they take their lead in foul territory, obviously. And then once the ball gets by the catcher, they come back on the line or close to it. So if there's a pickoff attempt, it doesn't hit him in the back, or it does hit him in the back. That's what they want.
2-0. 71 pitches already for Rodriguez. His ERA started out high at 6.06. It's going in the wrong direction. Now it's 6.30. Does have 2 down. Here comes the 2-0. A strike. Rickard with a 4-game hitting streak. He reached base in the first 14 games of the season after he hit .397 in spring training to make the club. He swings and flies that one to center. Jackie started back and now in a bit, and that will finally end the inning. But another ragged one there by Erod. 3-0 Baltimore here in the fourth. Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot right now at RedSox.com. You can vote up to 35 times, and a number of Red Sox players are in the hunt. So be sure to vote early and often at RedSox.com/vote. And Red Sox will bring up Bogarts, Ortiz, and Ramirez against Tyler Wilson. So far, Sox with only one hit off him. And the Orioles have half a dozen off of Rodriguez. Xander 0 for 1. He has fly to right. Likes the Orioles. He's hit safely in 15 out of 16 against them at .353. On one hop, it gets to Machado is short. That's a fast out. One away in the fourth. Sunday, a special Father's Day edition of NESN Clubhouse. Red Sox players will talk about fatherhood, and we learn how specialized bats are made at Louisville Slugger. It's all Sunday at noon on NESN Clubhouse, presented by Delta Dental of Massachusetts.
That's always a thrill for any major leaguer when you come to the big leagues and you get that first bat order with your name on it. It's pretty special.
David Ortiz 0 for 1 with a tapper to second. Red Sox behind 3-0 in the last game of this series. .519 home runs for Big Papi, needing 2 to tie Ted Williams. He lines it, caught by Davis up on his tippy toes on what would have been a fair ball, and that's out number 2.
Yeah, you know, with the shift on, you can pull that first baseman right on the line, and that's exactly where Davis was. Look where he's playing. It's just not even a crossover step, just a leap right there, and takes a double possibly away from Ortiz. But with the shift on, everybody slides over. You can see where Davis is playing. Very good reactions. I got to tell you, he's played a real nice first base in this series.
Really has. He scooped a number of throws out of the dirt to save errors, and that fine play. It's the second extra base hit taken away by an Oriole tonight. Travis Shaw had that shot into the alley, and Rickert was over there to make the play. Here's Hanley. He's 0 for 1. He hit the ball stiff to center field his first time up. Hanley with a little 3-game hit streak. And the 0-1. So far, the Red Sox have not done much with this guy, Tyler Wilson. Despite the fact he only hits about 90-91 most of the time. Hard hit, but a nice play by Machado. Spins, throws, and gets him. They are flashing leather tonight on the Orioles side, and the Red Sox go 1-2-3. Right after the game, TC and Tim Wakefield break it all down. You'll hear from Eddie Rodriguez and from John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever, who but WB Mason. Another beautiful night here at Fenway, but the Red Sox are trailing 3-0 as the Orioles bat in the 5th. Machado, Trumbo, and Davis, and Rodriguez in need of a brisk inning. His last two have really been a struggle. And he fires in a strike at 93. Rodriguez making his 5th career start against his former team. 1-2, a .386 earned run average against Baltimore. He was acquired from the Orioles for the lefty Andrew Miller in July of 2014. 2-1.
Talk about focus points for pitchers, and one for Rodriguez. If you'll notice, when he goes into his delivery, he kind of looks up that first base line, almost like he's looking in the stands.
2-1 to Machado. He buried it. Another 3-ball count. Barnes is still warming. So how soon before John Farrell goes to him?
I don't think it's going to be very long at all, especially if they get a base runner here in the 5th inning.
Hitters count for Machado. He tags that one to center field on his horse Jackie Bradley, racing to the triangle, but it's high off the wall, bouncing back to him. And Machado, who nearly hit it out, is into second base with a double. He hit it to the deepest part of Fenway and has his 2nd hit.
Right now they're checking to see if Barnes is ready. He was throwing last inning. He sat down while the Red Sox were hitting, and he began throwing right at the start of this inning. So that's what they're checking with down in the bullpen right now.
And apparently not ready. Rodriguez pitching line brought to you by Ace Ticket. 7 hits, 3 earned at the moment. One of the men he walked came in to score. Trumbo has flied out and struck out. And he loops a foul out of play. So a leadoff double by Machado, who continues to have an outstanding season. He's only 23 years old. He's already been to 2 All-Star games, and he's on his way to another one. Rodriguez with the 0-1. Broke his bat, and he popped it up, and Hanley right there to make the catch. And Trumbo is 0 for 3.
See, there's a case. It looked to me like in both of those situations, Trumbo was trying to go to the opposite field to advance that runner with nobody out. But, you know, for me, when you got a cleanup guy up at the plate with 20 home runs on the season, you just let him swing.
Yeah, get a runner at second base, try and drive him in.
But I think he was doing that on his own because both swings seemed designed to go the other way.
And I got a left-hand hitter up there, and then Wieters a switch batter on deck. Davis has struck out and grounded out 0 for 2 in this one. He's 1 for 13 against Erod, who has been dazzling him with that changeup. Davis signed a big 7-year contract as a free agent in the offseason after testing the waters. He returned to Baltimore. Orioles ahead 3-0 in the 5th. Made him move those feet. 1 ball and 1 strike. Another superb night here at Fenway. We've had a run of them on this homestand. Here's hoping that continues with Seattle coming in, and then the White Sox. The 1-1. Here's a base hit into left center field. Here comes Machado. He's going to score. That'll make it 4-0. Let's see if that is it for Erod tonight. And here comes John Farrell. That's another disappointing outing. He went 4 2/3 against Minnesota, and tonight against Baltimore, a much better lineup. He does not survive very long. Just 4 1/3. That is a problem for the Red Sox. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Kia. Barnes coming in, fast exit for the lefty, and we'll have more in a moment. It's brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals, and by the great folks at Sullivan Tire and Auto Service. Well, the Red Sox are in a 4-0 hole here and have to go to the bullpen very early. A fast exit from Rodriguez, who's going in the wrong direction. He went 6 innings. His first start against the Orioles. The next 3, 5 2/3, 4 2/3, and 4 1/3.
Yeah, you know, we talked about it in the open with Rodriguez and the question of being able to establish something other than the fastball and the changeup. And even though he tried tonight, it's still not a pitch that the opposition takes seriously, and hasn't got to that point yet. So for the most part, you can sit there and sit on the fastball or the changeup because you know you're going to get something straight.
Very predictable. And this is too good a lineup to do that against. Here comes the 0-1. And Wieters takes the strike. Batting left-handed here. He has struck out and taken ball 4. Only 1 away. Another run in. Machado started it by almost torching one out of the ballpark. After his double, he was driven in by Davis, who's now at first base. So the Sox with a lot of work to do in the finale of the series. A wave and a miss, and down he goes, strike 3.
Very good curveball that time from Matt Barnes. He got ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. I thought he'd try to waste the fastball upstairs, but instead he goes downstairs with the breaking ball and gets Wieters to chase.
So 2 away for Scope, who's gone 0 for 2 but reached on a fielder's choice and came on in to score. A man on with 2 away. Red Sox will have due up when they bat in the bottom of the 5th inning. Jackie Bradley, Rusney Castillo, and Travis Shaw trying to figure out Tyler Wilson, who has been a puzzle so far, tossing a 1-hitter against the Red Sox. And Barnes with a 1-0. Hammered behind third and fair down the line. It got past Shaw down into the corner. Here comes Davis. They're going to wave him in. There will be no throw to the plate, and it is 5-0 on the double by Scope.
Well, good hitting by Jonathan Scope as he continues now a 7-game hitting streak. Gets the curveball from Bonds and hooks it right down that third base line. Now let's look at the location. It stays up in the zone. It is away, but he hooks it right down the line. Now, even though Shaw's close to the fairly close to the line, cannot knock it down. Once it gets by him with two outs that run around the move, they're able to score him.
So 5-0 Baltimore. Charged that run to Rodriguez as Davis came in. And the last 3 starts, Erod has allowed 5 earned, 4 earned, and 5. Reimold swings and a little trickling foul for a strike. He has grounded out and struck out tonight. So it is uphill tonight here at Fenway for the Red Sox. They're going to need some comeback. Although only the 5th inning. Scope bats second with 2 away. And Barnes will not throw home. Reimold can be a valuable guy for Buck Showalter since the start of last season. He's played 65 games in left, 33 in right, and 9 in center field, so they can move him around. He's a dependable outfielder. Made a nice play tonight on a sliding stab of a shot into the gap. And Barnes with a 1-1. And he left it high at 97.
A good velocity for Barnes on his fastball, 97, 98 miles an hour. He'll throw an occasional changeup in that curveball.
Matt, a star at UConn. He was 11-5 with 117 strikeouts and 17 starts as a junior. Bounding ball to third, and Shaw right there from the grass, and he'll get him to retire the side. But the Orioles add a couple of more, and they knock Erod out of the ball game. And coming up, it'll be Bradley, Castillo, and Shaw. Think Energy, powering Fenway, and a smart choice to power your home. Visit thinkenergy.com to enroll today. Jackie Bradley leading off the fifth inning for the Red Sox. We're down 5-0.
That's one of those situations, Dave, where you sit in the dugout and say, okay, let's just get on the board. Let's get some points on there and go from there. Red Sox backs have been stagnant. One hit in the game.
It was a Sandy Leon base hit in the third. Jackie homered off of Wilson in Baltimore last time they met. And right now he's sitting at 11. His last 20 home games, he's been tearing it up here at Fenway, hitting .395, 22 RBIs. Seeing the ball very well at Fenway Park. 1-2 pitch. Evens it up. Rusney Castillo on deck. In the lineup tonight, with Chris Young nursing a bit of a quad strain, but that's something he's done before and usually not a big problem. A swing and a miss, and down he goes, gathered by Wieters, and the strikeout complete. A Sunday in an all-new Charlie Moore Outdoors. Charlie will head to Charleston, South Carolina. Catches Sunday night at 6:30 right here on NESN. One man out for a strikeout for Wilson tonight. Sends up Rusney, who's 0 for 1 with a fly to center. We have not seen much of him this season. Last year he did play in 80 games. He hit .253 with 5 home runs. I think the great debate about Rusney Castillo is, what do you consider his plus skill? What is it he really does exceptionally well?
That's a very good question, and you know, we have yet to see one thing stand out for Castillo. I mean, we thought we'd see power. We really haven't. You know, I think he's a pretty good outfielder, but we haven't seen a lot of him out there. And, you know, he runs okay, not great, not blazing speed. And right now, he's in a position that he's never been in his life, and that's playing off the bench.
The 1-2. Well, the hope was when he was at AAA, he could light up pitching there and really show what he's made of. And he hit .245 with 1 home run in 38 games. The 1-2. Tried to hold up, but it's in there anyway for strike 3. A called strike, and there are 2 away.
You know, you wonder of the mindset of a guy like Castillo. Now, he signs for a boatload of money, right? Comes over here, and Red Sox kind of expect him to be a big leaguer. He expects to be a big leaguer. Not really the case. Has never established himself at the major league level. You get sent back to AAA. How do you react to that? You know, you're making all kind of dough. You're making much more than anybody you're playing with down there. And I don't know. I mean, I have yet to see something that stands out, as you mentioned, Dave, in his game.
That's the problem. $72.5 million. Travis Shaw 0 for 1 with a liner to right field. He tags another one to right field. Rickard on the move and takes another one away. Shaw has to be wondering, what do I have to do to get a hit to right field tonight? He is 0 for 2, and he ought to be 2 for 2. That's out number 3. 5-0 Baltimore. Get expert emergency care at Fenway without leaving the ballpark at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center. It's the first aid station located behind Section 12 on the lower concourse. Visit bidmc.org. Red Sox down 5-0 as we go to the 6th inning here in Game 3 with Baltimore. Giannis has walked in singles, so he's been trouble out of that 9 spot. He was hitting well in the minors at AAA Norfolk. He was hitting .329 when they called him up in May. Although he has not hit at the big league level like that. Showing bunt, takes a strike. His major league experience, about 360 major league games. And a solid fielder. Adam Jones and then Joey Rickard, who have combined for 4 hits, are next.
Now Barnes has got one job to do, and that's put zeros on the board for a few innings and hope that his offense can get something going when he's not on the mound.
The 2-1 line to left, closing out of Castillo, and he makes the play on a line shot for out number 1. Red Sox Nation, from now through the end of June, Aetna will donate $500 to Boston Healthcare for the homeless for every inning completed by a Sox starting pitcher at Fenway. Visit NESN.com for a running tally. Just another way Aetna is helping build healthier communities.
I'll tell you, on both sides tonight, there have been some hard hit outs. That ball was hit very hard by Giannis, but a nice play by Castillo in left field on the line drive, sinking line drive.
Brings up another guy who hits it hard quite a bit. Adam Jones. He's homered at double tonight. He's gone 2 for 3. 2-run homer in the 3rd inning against Rodriguez. Tried to hold up but could not. Pretty good changeup. Looks like he's starting to come alive with the bat. The average at 247 now. He's number 11 on the Orioles all-time hit list. And the 0-1. Now, you grow up a Red Sox fan in New England, as you and I both did. Your favorite players are generally Red Sox players, but you have favorites on other ball clubs, even other teams that you really like watching play. I always like watching Kansas City play, but my favorite player in the Orioles was always Brooks Robinson.
Yeah, how could you not like Brooks Robinson? I mean, the guy was a class act. Fantastic third baseman, just a vacuum cleaner down there.
Unreal range, unbelievable range. Big swing and a miss, 1-2. Go back and watch some of those videos. You know, go online. It's worth it. If you never saw Brooks Robinson play, go take a look. You know, some of those World Series plays he made, still mind-boggling. How far he ranged off the line into foul territory to backhand and then throw and get the runner. Incredible. 1-2.
And one of the big thrills for me is I got a chance to meet Brooks Robinson, and he was everything I thought he was. You know, he was just a special kind of guy, really a class act, a guy that you know, he was not above everybody. He was just, you know, he was one of you, you know, and it was great.
Nice to hear. I know that's not always true.
No, it's not. No, sometimes you're very disappointed in people you meet.
Floated towards center, charging on Jackie Bradley. He'll make the play. Fascinating to watch Jackie sometimes put his head down and charge to the spot where he knows it's going to land unless he makes the play.
Yeah, and that's all from getting a very good read on the baseball in center field. And, you know, we've talked about it many times where you probably get your best jumps in center field, and the reason is because you in center field can see the location of the pitches. And you can see if the ball's away, so you have an idea that the ball might be hit to your left. You can see if the ball's inside. You can tell you when it might be pulled. So you get better jumps in center field, easier reads. And he just makes it look so easy.
Tommy Lane beginning to warm in the bullpen. Red Sox had to go to the pen early in the 5th inning. If you're just joining us, Eduardo Rodriguez knocked out of the game after 4 1/3, 5 runs, 8 hits. And a couple of walks as well. And that is becoming an emerging problem for the Red Sox, that spot in the rotation. Rickard with a single and a double tonight. So he was trouble for Erod. They have 9 hits and the Red Sox have only 1. It is 5-0 Baltimore. Rickard, a rookie outfielder, awaiting the 3-0. And that's going to be outside. Count of 3-1. Don't miss the CVS Health Charity Classic Benefit Concert featuring Lady Antebellum at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, June 28th. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com/CharityClassicFenway. And now the 3-1 pitch with 2 down and the bases empty. And poke foul. Machado on deck. He has also been tough to handle tonight with a single and a double. And Matt Barnes with a payoff pitch, trying to make it a 1-2-3 6th inning. But he walks him. Right now you can get up to 60 months with no interest on anything at Jordan's Furniture. Furnish one room or your entire home, and best of all, you get to enjoy it right now. Visit Jordans.com for details.
In this situation now, you got Machado at the plate and Rickett at first. Rickett runs pretty well, and you know the Orioles don't run very much. As a matter of fact, they're last in the American League in stolen bases, but you have to be aware that he's over there with two outs. You have to, you know, kind of maybe let him know that you're just not going to run on me at will. And that's what they do. You know, it's unlikely he's going to steal. But if you totally forget about a guy that can run the way that Rickett can run, he may try to get in a scoring position. So you got to let him know that you're aware of that.
Does have 3 stolen bases. 2 away. The runner does go, and a pitch skips away from Leon, and that'll go to the backstop. So Rickard safely down to second. He does get credit for a stolen base because he was running.
Yeah, he had a very big lead too, and he had a very good jump, and it wouldn't have mattered had that ball been right down the middle of the plate. Sandy Leon was not going to be able to throw him out. Leon tries to go to the backhand because what he's trying to do is backhand it and then throw to second in one motion, but it was not going to happen. Too good of a jump.
So 1-0 here on Machado. Hitting .307, 17 homers and a strike. The Orioles look at him like the Red Sox look at Betts, Bogarts, and Bradley. Guy they can rely on for many years to come. Question is he going to be a shortstop or go back to his third base position? I would assume that. One of the great defensive third basemen in the game. We saw Colorado come in. Arenado is something. Defensively at third. He might be the best in the game right now.
He had a great series against the Red Sox defensively.
Well, he sure did. Fly to the right center field. Here's JBJ to track it down and retire the side. Red Sox coming up in need of some offense. They're desperate for it. 5-0 Baltimore. Franchises are proud to give back to the communities in which they live and work. Thousands of kids have had the chance to catch a free Sox game thanks to Dunkin' Donuts. Tonight we welcome the Boys and Girls Club of New Bedford to historic Fenway Park. Dunkin' Donuts, committed to the community. Tyler Wilson's been very tough tonight. Even though he came in with a .473 ERA, a 2-5 record, he's tied up the Red Sox and held Boston to 1 hit. The man who has that is at the plate right now, Sandy Leon. He's singled in the 3rd inning. That's all the Sox have so far. He'll be followed by Betts and Pedroia, who'll be getting their 3rd look at the right-hander. Clay Buchholz begins to throw in the pen. Red Sox down 5-0. And Sandy takes a strike.
Yeah, Buchholz throwing early in the pen as the Red Sox hit, because as a starting pitcher it takes him longer to warm up. And you know, when you see him in relief appearances, it'll probably be to start off innings.
2-1. Ground ball chopped to the first baseman Davis. The pitcher gets there for the out. A rare out for Sandy. Time now for a game break, brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. And here's TC. All right, TC, indeed they are. Man, they can score. Feels like everybody in this division can. Here's Mookie Betts. He has lined out and walked. Red Sox have not scored tonight, though. Mookie 2 for 6 against Tyler Wilson head-to-head. And here's the 0-1. For every Red Sox hit in June, Echo Store Technologies donates $50 to the Sean Thornton Foundation. Echo Store proud to assist in helping find a cure for Parkinson's disease and pediatric cancer. Echo Store Technologies, your data center solutions provider. Here comes pitch number 72 from the 26-year-old Wilson. Hammered foul outside of third base.
You know, I love watching outfielders and how they shift on different counts. And you know, we saw it with Adam Jones in center field with Betts at the plate. Once he got 1 strike, he moved a little bit to his left. Once he got 2 strikes, a little bit more to his left. And now it's kind of shading him to the opposite field, because with 2 strikes, you're expecting a more defensive swing. And that time, Betts got a breaking ball and hooked it right down the third base line, foul. But I love when outfielders move. It proves to me, it shows to me that they're involved in the game. They're paying attention to counts. They're moving on counts, trying to put themselves in the best situation to succeed.
Jones, an outstanding outfielder, 4-time Gold Glover. The 0-2. Cut on and missed. Wieters will dig it out and throw him out for the strikeout. And Mookie is hitless tonight, 0 for 2.
Well, this certainly has been a frustrating offensive night for the Red Sox. Only the 1 hit, and it's not exactly like you're facing a guy that's, you know, overpowering, or you walk back to the dugout and you're mesmerized. He's just throwing strikes, mixing his pitches up.
And has the Red Sox off balance. Here's Pedroia. He's flied out and popped up, 0 for 2. Petey started the night hitting .317 with 7 home runs. Nobody on base. Said that a lot tonight. Wilson's nickname is Doc because he intends to become an orthopedic surgeon after his playing career. He got his degree in biology at the University of Virginia. Grounded to third base, scooped by Yanish. And the Red Sox go 1-2-3 again. That's for the 3rd consecutive inning. 5-0 Baltimore. And here it is. Will there ever be a Major League Baseball team based in Las Vegas? Seems like the NHL is headed there. How do you feel about it? 48% say yes, it will happen, and 52% no, so quite close.
Now, from a travel point of view, you know, you kind of like to see all the teams in Massachusetts. A long trip to Vegas. Another West Coast trip if it was in the American League, or even if it was in the National League now with interleague play. Yeah. Montreal's got a shot before Vegas.
I think you're right. I was about to say the same thing. I think Montreal has a serious bid going. Clay Buchholz out of the bullpen. So he takes over for Barnes, who took over for Rodriguez. On to the 7th inning, 5-0 Orioles. Clay finished up Saturday's win at Minnesota. He went 1 inning. His second straight scoreless appearance out of the bullpen. Trying to keep the score right there and hope the Red Sox offense wakes up. It has been slumbering tonight. That one got the home plate umpire, Muchlinski.
Yeah, got both guys. Sandy Leon off the left side of the mask, and then you got it.
Muchlinski.
Muchlinski. Dropping all over you, and I can't say his name.
The 1-1. Popped him up. Foul off third. Shaw drifting over, but he's going to run out of real estate. Stay tuned for Red Sox Final, presented by Plain Ridge Park Casino. TC and Tim Wakefield preview the next start tomorrow against the Mariners, and plus scores and highlights from around the majors. Ellie is coming out of the bullpen, or coming out of the minor leagues, to make a start tomorrow. And we'll take on Iwakuma. Hisashi Iwakuma goes in 5-5, ERA of 4.10. Porcello against Miley on Saturday, and Price against Walker on Sunday. Unfortunately, the Red Sox could not keep that string of really nice starts alive tonight. And Eduardo Rodriguez only lasting 4 1/3. And a swing and a foul tip. Or did he miss entirely? Indeed he did. And down he goes for strike 3.
Yeah, Buchholz going to the changeup to pick up the strikeout here against Trumbo. Ball boxed around a little bit by Leon behind the plate, but he's able to corral it and put the tag on.
So 1 away in the 7th. Davis next. Always a home run threat. He's gone 1 for 3 with an RBI single. Last year led the majors in home runs with 47. He's 3rd in RBIs. Drove in 117 runs. He's been a run producing machine for Baltimore. Back on May 6th here at Fenway in 2012, he also pitched and got the win. 2 scoreless innings. The 1-1. That drifts in there for a strike at 81 miles an hour.
Yeah, curveball followed by a changeup for Buchholz to get him ahead in the count 1-2.
Nobody aboard, and the 1-2 to Davis. He is 9 for 26 in his career against Clay, so they are very familiar with each other. He's hit 2 home runs. And the 2-2 coming. Rolled foul.
Nice play by Brian Butterfield down in the Red Sox dugout, just kind of reaching over that fenced area.
Butters got game.
Yeah, very, very casual play. Made it look easy.
He's done that more than once in his career. The 2-2. High fly lifted to left field. Rusney Castillo underneath. And there are 2 down. Don't miss NESN Live weekdays at 5:30. Catch all the latest news from your favorite New England sports teams. NESN Live presented by Cross Insurance. Torrey is saying, you know, I had it. Believe me, I had it.
I see Butterfield right now directing traffic. He's the choreographer for the infield defense. Puts Travis Shaw over on that right side. Pedroia back on the outfield grass.
Wieters the batter. He has struck out twice and taken ball 4. Buchholz trying to make it a 1-2-3 7th. And he has not had a lot of fun at all facing Clay. 6 for 33 in his career. Nothing in 2. Buchholz has had a really nice changeup right out of the gate here. And the 0-2 to Wieters. Swung on and missed, and down he goes on a fastball. Third time Wieters is whiffed in this one. Giveaway night at Fenway Park. First 15,000 fans receive a David Ortiz gnome. For tickets and more information, visit redsox.com/promos or call 877-RED-SOX-9. Very pleasant night here at Fenway Park, except for the score. 5-0 Baltimore. Sox with only 1 hit off of Tyler Wilson, so this has been unexpected. Bogarts is 0 for 2, Ortiz 0 for 2, and Hanley Ramirez 0 for 2, and they'll be the hitters in this inning. Wilson's pitching line brought to you by your Eastern Lexus dealers. Stayed away from ball 4 except for the 1. That was Mookie Betts in the 3rd inning. He's really let his defense do the work, and it played well behind him. Xander came into the game with an 11-point lead in the American League batting race over Altuve. He stings that foul. Tonight, after Red Sox coverage on NESN Sports Today, we go one-on-one with Xander Bogaerts. Plus, get the latest on the Bruins as they prepare for a big week ahead. That's tonight on NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. Seventh inning, Red Sox down 5-zip. Line and caught, and another outstanding play as Giannis left his feet to snag that one.
Well, it's one of those nights. I mean, one hit for the Red Sox, and everything that has been hit hard has found the glove of the Baltimore Orioles defense. Line shot by Bogaerts, but look at the reaction right there by Giannis at third base to take the base hit away. You know, the players say you get in the dugout, way to swing the bat, and you go, how the heck with that? I'd rather have a base hit. I'd rather have a 9-hopper through the infield.
It's 11 in a row retired by Wilson, but 3 or 4 of them have been outstanding defensive plays. As Ortiz pops a foul back out of play, David is grounded out and lined out. He hit a wicked line drive that Davis, the first baseman, made a play on. Travis Shaw has hit 2 wicked line drives that were caught to right field. The 0-1. Ortiz hitless so far, but in his last 19 home games, he has reached base in every game, and he's hitting .467 with 23 RBIs. And he lines that one down the line, and that's going to bounce into the corner, a fair ball. Poppy on his way to second base. The throw, and he is in there with a double.
Well, the crowd here at Fenway tonight has not had much to cheer about offensively, but finally they do. They get Ortiz a fastball down and away, and he slices it down that left field line. Now, this is a heck of a play out here by Raimo because they almost get David at second base. He's got to hustle as hard as he can to be in safe. You see that tag coming just after the foot gets to the bag.
Well, they're going to look at it, in fact.
Yeah, that's awfully close at second base, and it's a decision by Ortiz to go 5 runs down.
Well, watch the tag now on that ankle area on the snap tag, a little above the ankle.
Yeah, for me on that angle, and that's a tough angle, but for me the foot's in, but with other angles may look differently. Let's take a look from this side. Boy, that's a tough call.
Ruled a double on the field. They're taking a look at New York. This play under review. So a challenge by Buck Showalter. If they uphold the call, it'll be just the second hit tonight, but the Red Sox will have a man in scoring position.
I don't know if there's enough there to turn it over.
And that's the debate, I'm sure, in New York right now. Scope with the tag.
Elevated foot by David Ortiz trying to reach that bag, and the question is, did that first swipe get it? And they're going to call him safe.
I think it's exactly what you mentioned, what it came down to. Not enough evidence to overturn it.
Yeah, it's very hard to tell. You made the call on the field, you kind of stick with it.
So Ortiz has now reached base in 20 consecutive home games. He's been giving the crowd here at Fenway what they want. His 29th double, 29 already. Now, will that jumpstart the offense? First 2 Red Sox have hit the ball hard in this inning. Bogaerts' liner was caught, and now Hanley, who was lined to center and grounded to short. He believes he is out of his slump. He said last night, get ready, get your tickets. First class business coach. It's about to get hot. High fly ball into left field. Raimo will wait beneath this one shy of the warning track. 2 down. Tomorrow at 5:30, don't miss Friday Night Fenway, presented by Budweiser. John Farrell will join TC on the field for an interview, and be sure to visit Tequila Rain through June 23rd for the chance to be selected as a Budweiser fan of the game. Budweiser, this Bud's for you. Red Sox just trying to get on the board here in the 7th inning, trailing 5-0. Jackie Bradley is grounded to second and struck out. Jackie hitting .354 at Fenway Park this season. Overall .306. That one scoots away from Wieters, and David Ortiz is going to walk into third base. That'll be a wild pitch.
Even getting a man at third base gets the crowd to cheer here at Fenway Park. They have not had much tonight. As that breaking ball that comes back to Wieters, but then it gets him off the right hip. And once it does that, no problem for David to go to third base.
It's our Red Sox first runner as far as third base. There are 2 down. Red Sox have had only 3 base runners all night against Wilson. Here's his 1-0. Up the first base line. Wilson off the mound. He's going to tag him out and retire the side. So the Red Sox cannot score through 7. 5-0 Baltimore. Is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. To the 8th inning. Quiet night for the Red Sox on the offensive end. Down 5-0 to the Orioles. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien, Gary Streisky with you from Fenway. Top of the 8th inning. 2nd inning for Clay Buchholz. And he'll get their bottom 3rd. Scope, Reimold, and Janisch. Clay very effective in the 7th inning. Had a great changeup going. He struck out 2 men. Scope has got 1 for 3 with an RBI double. Pops that one up. Bogart's backing out. Jackie Bradley coming on, and a catch made anyway. And Xander Bogaerts made it as Jackie went sliding past him.
I'll tell you what, that's dangerous out there when you get the shortstop going that hard, the center fielder coming in that hard, and Bogart's able to make the catch. Now watch Bradley go into the slide. Once he reads that Xander is not going to stop, he just goes into a slide to avoid any kind of collision at all. And what a terrific play by Bogarts over the shoulder.
robbing Scope there. One away for Reimold. He's hitless tonight, 0 for 3. I don't think you look at any one pitch in particular that Wilson has used tonight that has eaten up the Red Sox, but he's throwing a 2-hit shutout against the #1 scoring team in the majors.
I would agree 100%, Dave. You know, I think it's a mixture of pitches that's doing it to the Red Sox. It's not one particular pitch that's been nasty all night. It's been consistently good throwing strikes.
Kind of out of left field. A pop up. Ramirez ranging toward the dugout, but it's over the roof. I mean, Wilson came in 2 and 5, a .473 earned run average. Join Clay and Lindsey Buchholz alongside teammates and celebs at the Buchholz Benefit Bash on July 7th at the House of Blues. Tom Caron is the host, and country music stars Thompson Square and comedian Josh Wolf will perform. Visit ClayBuchholzFoundation.org to get your tickets today and help improve the lives of children in need. They've done a lot of good work. And Clay has set down the first 4 men that he has faced tonight out of the bullpen. Toronto's winning big 8-0 over the Phillies in the 7th inning. The Red Sox lose this game. Toronto's going to be just a game behind Boston in the standings. Right now the Sox and the Orioles tied for first. One out, nobody on base, and the 2-2 to Reimold. Line shot to center field for a base hit. So 1 man on, and tomorrow at 6:30, don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live presented by DCU. TC and Tim Wakefield will preview the Red Sox next series against Seattle. DCU is Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Should be a very interesting series.
Yeah, Seattle, you know, surprise team as far as their offense. They're second in runs scored. They're second in home runs. They are first in ERA in the American League. So it's going to be no easy weekend here at Fenway Park.
Red Sox will require good starting pitching. Unfortunately, did not get a long start tonight or an effective start from Rodriguez for the 3rd consecutive start. Only 4 1/3, 5 runs. Giannis has walked single and lined out hard to left, so he's 1 for 2 with a run scored. He was on base in the 3rd inning when Adam Jones pounced and struck for a 2-run homer. Toward the middle and caught out of the air by Pedroia. They're going to double him up at first base as Reimold could not get back. He thought it was going to go through. An alert play by Pedroia to turn 2. First choice for value and convenience. For every Sox home run this season, Speedway donates $500 to Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway near you and pick up your Speedy Rewards card and start earning points today. Red Sox are down 5-0 and late here in the last half of the 8th inning as the Orioles try and win the series 2-1. Rusney Castillo's fly to center and struck out looking. Travis Shaw next, and then Sandy Leon. Sure, Travis will do everything within his power not to get robbed again by Rickard in right field. He's taken 2 hits away from him.
Yeah, there's been some good defense played tonight by the Baltimore Orioles, a team that came into the ball game, you know, not among the top defensive ball clubs in the American League, but certainly playing well tonight.
Second time tonight that Muchlinski, the home plate umpire, has got drilled on a carom. 0-2 on Rusney. And Wilson got him to foul it away. You were talking about the defense.
Yeah, it's been a lot of very nice plays. Raimo out in the outfield making good play off Mookie Betts' sinking line drive early in the ball game. Then Davis taking extra bases away from David Ortiz. Shaw down the right field line. Nice play there by Rickard. And at third base, Giannis taking a base hit away from Bogart.
Swung on and missed. A wild cut by Castillo, and he fans for the second time tonight. So 1 man gone in the Red Sox 8th inning. Travis Shaw will dig in next. Twice shots out to right that Rickard snagged and took a potential double away from him. One thing you can't ignore defensively, where the Orioles have been setting up based on the scouting reports, it's been impressive in this series.
It really has. And, you know, we talked about it last night.
Line drive up the middle. No one there to catch that one. And he's on finally with a base hit. He is 1 for 3.
And we talked about it last night, Dave, where the Orioles really play a different defense here at Fenway than any of the ball club that comes in here, with their outfield in particular. Now, Travis Shaw tonight has hit the ball well 3 times, so that minor adjustment of lifting his hands higher to where he had him back in spring training is paying dividends. And that's what you like to see. You know, you pick something up, you correct it, and then you get results. It's so important to get those results early. Again, those hands a little bit higher, and a nice stroke right there by Shaw. Up the middle for the base hit.
Sandy Leon here, he's gone 1 for 2. So looking like Travis is out of his slump, his June swoon over the last several games, even though he hasn't had all the results he wanted tonight. He has hit the ball hard 3 times. Cracked foul.
And before the last at bat, you know, a little conversation going on with Chili Davis. I think a lot of this may be about pitch selection and, you know, how he's worked them so far in the game tonight.
Shaw on at first base. Leon's been a hot hitter. The 1-1 fouled away. Sandy over his last 14 major league games has gone 15 for 40. So this isn't just this season where he's been swinging it. Gaudy batting average of .750 at the moment. Brad Brock is working in the bullpen now for the Orioles. Only 93 pitches for Wilson. Swung on and missed. That one really disappeared, and down he goes for strike 3, and there are 2 away. Don't miss Dining Playbook every Saturday morning at 9 on NESN. Billy and Jenny take you on a journey at the intersection of where sports and dining meet. Dining Playbook on NESN, driven by your New England Chevy dealers. This 26-year-old from Lynchburg, Virginia, has pitched a dandy here tonight. He's allowed only 3 hits. He has struck out 2 in this inning, and now squaring off against Mookie Betts, who has lined out, struck out, and taken ball 4. Maybe the last inning for Wilson. Red Sox would not mind that. No doubt the Red Sox have been getting consistent starting pitching from Price, Wright, and Porcello. They have combined to go 22-10 with a .352 earned run average. Those three. But did not get a strong start tonight by any measure. Porcello to pitch on Saturday against Seattle. Shaw at first base with 2 away. And the 2-0. That's a strike.
I thought John Farrell's reaction early in the game kind of summed up his frustration. You know, it was a 3-0 count, and the call was for a fastball with Adam Jones at the plate, knowing he probably had the green light in that situation. Rocketed a base hit, and Farrell just kind of threw the seeds up in the air. I think maybe upset about the pitch selection, you know, in that situation, knowing he may be going on a fastball.
Felt very predictable. Fouled back. Tyler Wilson has never completed 8 innings in the major leagues. He's on the verge of doing that right here. With a 5-0 lead, his Orioles have out hit the Red Sox 10-3. At Virginia, he was a key guy in their run to the College World Series in his senior year when they won 56 games. And the 2-2 to Mookie. Off the end of the bat, trickled foul. And you get a 2-run homer here. At least you can say you're in the game.
Well, it's kind of like the game last night a little bit, you know, where the Red Sox had the big lead and then the Orioles were able to get it back close and make a game out of it. And that's what you're kind of hoping for from the Red Sox offense here late.
So far, a rare flat performance by the Sox offense, especially here at Fenway. Here comes the 2-2 again. Swung on and missed. Down he goes for strike 3. So he winds up at 3 Ks in the 8th. See if he's done. Red Sox hope so. 5-0 Baltimore. 1986 Red Sox in their 65th game of 1986. The Red Sox lost to these Orioles 14-3. Jim Rice had 3 hits. That certainly was the highlight. On to the 9th inning, 5-0 Orioles. Good night for this man at the plate, Adam Jones. He has belted a home run and he has an RBI double too. He's gone 2 for 4. Red Sox have been shut out twice this season, and both of them came in April. The 1-0. Red Sox get Koji going in the pen. And nobody warming up in the Oriole bullpen. 1-1. Lash foul by Jones.
Big night for Jones. A home run, a 2-run shot coming on a fastball, then on a 3-0 count, a double. Down that left field line, a drive and a run. So 3 RBIs on the night for Adam Jones in that leadoff spot.
1-2 is up and in.
And velocity up tonight for Buckles, 94 on that last fastball.
Yeah, throwing his changeup off that. The 2-2. Bounding ball to Dustin Pedroia off the second hop. 1 away in the 9th inning. Tyler Wilson has thrown 100 pitches. Looks like maybe now they're going to get the bullpen started.
Well, they had it going last inning, and what they generally do is for the start of the inning, till there's an out or two, they'll sit the guy down and then get him warmed up again. And that may be what's happening down in the bullpen right now for the Baltimore Orioles.
That's Brock up and throwing again. Just started throwing for the second time. Rickert has had a good night with a single, a double, and a walk. So Wilson with a jacket on. Cut and a miss. Boy, a changeup's been excellent. Five runs, 10 hits for the Orioles, no errors. In fact, their defense has been superb. They've stolen a number of hits from the Red Sox. And for Boston, no runs, just 3 hits and no errors. Baltimore got 2 runs in the 3rd, another run in the 4th, and a pair in the 5th. That has been the scoring. Machado, the man on deck, has scored 1 of those runs. Off the outside, but barely. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rickert 0 for 3 lifetime against Clay. And the 2-2. He waves and misses, and down he goes, strike 3. Tomorrow at 6, don't miss Red Sox first pitch, presented by Joseph Abood. Available at Men's Warehouse. Red Sox chairman Tom Werner will join TC live on Yawkey Way. And Machado to step in, chasing his 3rd hit. He has a single and a double. He's gone 2 for 4. Now hitting .305 with 17 home runs. Up the middle, a base hit. That's his 3rd hit tonight. He likes that first pitch.
Yeah, he does, and hits it very well. He takes it up the middle for the base hit with 2 outs. Machado with 3 hits on the night.
So Trumbo in next. He's gone 0 for 4 with a pair of strikeouts, hitting .284 with 20 home runs. 5-0 Orioles. We are in the 9th. Not much to write home about tonight here at Fenway. And Buchholz from the stretch to deal the 0-1 pitch. Late cut. And it's 0-2. Take a closer look at tomorrow's pitching matchup. Elias against Iwakuma. Closer look brought to you by FW Web. Selection, expertise, solutions. More at fwweb.com. And Buchholz trying to get that third out here in the 9th inning with a man on. Boston pitchers had recorded 6 quality starts in the last 7 games, but not this evening. The 0-2 pitch to Trumbo. And foul tip off the mid of Leone. He could not hold it and could not complete the strikeout.
Buchholz trying to elevate that time. Did get the swing, got the foul ball, but Leone could not hold on to a tough pitch to hold on to. Obviously, anytime a ball is foul tipped. Had it in the webbing of the glove almost.
Sox have due up Pedroia, Bogaerts, Ortiz in the bottom of the 9th inning. And the 0-2 from Clay. And he got him. That changeup has been superb. He struck him out. Red Sox coming up, down by 5 in the 9th. Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Bottom of the 9th, and the Red Sox are down by 5. Our game summary brought to you by Xfinity. Wilson with 8 terrific innings, and unexpected, quite frankly, for Baltimore. Tossed a 3-hitter. Walked only 1 man. Machado 3 singles. Big night for Jones. Short night for Rodriguez, 4 1/3. And Pedroia to lead things off here against Brad Brock, who's been really excellent for them. He ranks 2nd on the team with 40 strikeouts as a reliever. Struck out at least 1 batter in 22 of 28 appearances. He's been really tough.
Yeah, he's got kind of a weird delivery too, where he almost throws across his body, and I would imagine that would be very, very difficult for right-handers to pick up.
Pedroia 0 for 3. The Red Sox have managed 3 hits in the game, as that one is floated foul. Bogarts and then Ortiz to follow him.
Kind of look at the motion. You see him step way toward that third base side and then throw across his body, and that time with a breaking ball, and Pedroia able to foul it off. But that has to be a different angle that you've got to look at to pick up the baseball.
2 pop-ups and a ground out for Petey tonight. If he does not get a hit here, his 17-game hitting streak against Baltimore comes to an end. None of the Red Sox 1, 2, 3 hitters has a hit tonight. The 2-2. Bogarts on deck. Xander was robbed his last time up by Giannis, the third baseman. The 3-2. And popped into right field. Here's Rickard. Easy play for him. And one away here in the bottom of the 9th for the Sox. Nesson Fuel is your home for everything automotive, including exclusive interviews, recaps, and much more. Visit NessonFuel.com today. So an 0 for 4 for Pedroia, and that sends up Bogarts, who's 0 for 3. When the Red Sox are this quiet offensively, it's almost like you're watching another team.
Yeah, you don't see this very often, and it's kind of stunning when you do see it, because the Red Sox have that big run capability, obviously, in every game they play, and it's been like silent movies here tonight due to that guy.
Wilson 8 innings, 6 strikeouts. Didn't do the Red Sox any favors, just 1 walk. So tip your cap to him. A new opponent in tomorrow night. That'll be Seattle. Red Sox seeing them for the first time. Wilson going exactly 100 pitches. Pounded in there at 95 for a strike. Xander gets a pretty good look at this guy, though. He's 4 for 7 against Brock with a home run. The 2-1. Well, do you prefer watching videos instead of reading your sports news? Be sure to subscribe to Nesson on YouTube to keep up with everything. Visit youtube.com/Nesson today. 2-2. Popped up down the right field line. Long run for Davis, but no play. A lot of highlights tonight for Baltimore defensively. They've had 3 or 4 terrific plays. Giannis there at third base. Rickard in right field in particular. Davis at first. They've all come up with gems. 2-2 check swing, and it's outside.
And Bogarts does that very well. He gets that pitch away, a breaking ball away, and because he's an inside-out type swinger, he's able to hold up on those pitches. Guys that are dead pull hitters are very difficult, to check your swing.
The 3-2 to the X-Man. He spoils another one, but he pops it up, maybe playable. Here comes Wieters. Yes, he has room, and he'll make the play.
That's pretty good play by Wieters because of all the equipment he had to walk over. Now that's right near the Red Sox on deck circle. You can see all that stuff, a lot of stuff. Weighted bats, donuts, and Wieters has to fight that as he chases this pop-up.
That could be treacherous.
Yeah, it's a dangerous area for a catcher to go in.
Made the play to retire Bogarts, and now David Ortiz. He has gone 1 for 3 with a double. which he sliced down the left field line in the 7th inning, but one of just 3 hits all night for Boston. And nobody on base. And Poppy takes one down low. The Orioles here in the 9th inning. Popped up. That'll twist foul out of play. Sure, there will be a lot of questions for John Farrell tonight about his starting pitcher. Eduardo Rodriguez, only lasting 4 1/3, 5 runs. String of disappointing outings for him. And is downstairs for a ball. 2-1. High fly, dead away right field, racing back, Rickard, and he can kiss it goodbye. Number 520. And the Red Sox are on the scoreboard with 2 down in the 9th. Well, he jumped all over that baby. Number 17 for David.
There are fans that come to Fenway in this final season for David Ortiz just to see him hit. And finally, the Red Sox in the 9th inning provide some offense with Ortiz doing the honors with the home run. Oh, did he ever turn on that 95-mile-an-hour fastball?
And off into the bleachers. That makes it 5-1. So the Red Sox will not be shut out tonight. David 1 away from Ted Williams, Willie McCovey, and Frank Thomas. Popped up towards center, racing out Machado. He'll make the play, and that will end the ball game. So the Red Sox fall 5-1 tonight. That is your final score, and that means the Orioles win the series 2-1 and are now in sole possession, TC, of first place in the American League East, and a new opponent, Seattle, coming to town tomorrow.